Today we're going to chat with Kathy Harpell. Kathy is an amazing lady. She's been 10 years in the business now and has grown an incredible practice in real estate. She works very closely with her coach Cass to figure out strategy and things like that. And so now is at the point where she has 2 selling agents on her team and an assistant as well who's working with her, all in an area that is about 15,000 people total in population. So she's grown this incredible business in a very rural space and continues to just be a leader in our industry. And she's got lots of valuable stuff that she's going to share with us. And we're looking forward to the conversation and a fun game of pool. Kathy, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to chatting about some real estate stuff,
Sure.
your background, and then playing the game of pool as well.
Sure.
And see.
You're going to teach me how to play pool.
Well, you made a bad choice already in that respect. So yeah, absolutely. So tell me about yourself. How long have you been in the business? You've been here for 10 years, I think. So
10 years. Middle of February was 10 years.
Exciting. Yeah. So what were you doing before you decided that this was the path for you?
Most of my background was restaurant management, that sort of thing, and Irving Big Stop. I managed all of that. Left there after a major car accident, and you couldn't be on your feet as much and that sort of thing. So I went to car sales to see if I liked sales. And I loved sales. I didn't love cars. So I spent a couple years there, and I would sit in a showroom and look out the glass windows and want to be home when it was the middle of winter and there was nothing going on. So I wanted something that I could have some flexibility with.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my main reason for that decision. I shouldn't say main. I love real estate.
Yes.
I had already bought 4 or 5 houses and changed over by then. Single parent, so I took care of homes by myself, knew all the ins and outs of them and that sort of thing, watched the market all the time, so it was an easy decision.
Amazing.
That way. Yeah.
Amazing. And do you remember when you said, okay, I'm going for this, like signing up for your licensing course?
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Yeah, it's not something you do, or it's a hard thing to do on your own. So my partner at the time worked away. So was gone for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, home for 2 or 3 weeks. So again, that was why when I'm sitting in an office space looking out a window, why am I here? So anyways, that was the main part of it, and I could focus on that while he was away at work and really put everything into it. So it was kind of a decision of, are we cool with me doing this? And yep. And so I took the course online.
Cool.
I spoke to one person about real estate beforehand. Big mistake.
Yeah.
Well, not really, but took the course online.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And wrote my exam, passed the first time.
Amazing.
And yep.
And how old was your family at that point?
Yeah, so my daughter was 13 at that point. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you had a partner who was working away, so you're largely responsible for raising her at the same time.
Sure. Yeah.
And how did you balance that early on? Because it's a pretty demanding job on your time sometimes.
Yeah. By 13, she's a grown-up 13, so by 13 she could be at home, if I was going for a showing or an appointment or that sort of thing. She was like my sidekick. We're very similar personalities. She can read my mind, I can read hers. So she liked cooking. She would cook dinners.
Cool.
It was the two of us did it together.
That's great.
That's what I would say.
And we're going to talk about this in a little while, but she's now got a license.
She does.
And is maybe heading down the same path you are, it seems.
Yep.
So that's cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Tell me about some of the emotions you felt during that first year. How did you get started? Was it a quick start for you? Like, were you off and running right out of the gate, or was it a bit of a slow grind early?
Yeah, no, I at the time was with a small brokerage, so 10 or 12 agents, sat in an office with them, really consumed all the information I could from them. Kind of paired with a busy agent who, email leads and things like that she couldn't keep up with. She would give to me, and I ran with them, and I worked hard. I didn't let anything pass. I have a good network of people, so right from the very beginning I had a lot of referral business.
Amazing.
Yeah. So sorry, I lost track.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, did you feel as you were getting going, like, oh man, this is going to be a hard thing to make a living at, or I think I can see a future here?
Yeah, no, year one, I would tell people, I think I did 8 or 10 deals my first year. So I said I broke even. By the time you pay all your fees and do all your stuff and your gas and everything, I was like, I broke even. And then every year I was doubling what I did, and I've never had a backwards year yet. So 10 years in, and was still my best year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I didn't feel. No, I never felt like it was no.
Great.
I was nervous about knowing all the details. I don't feel necessarily that you get a ton of training in the beginning. So a lot of it is sink or swim, and obviously I jumped in and away I went. So yeah.
And you talked about sort of partnering with someone else, not partnering, but maybe kind of working alongside someone else, taking a little bit of their overflow business. And how did you kind of connect with that person?
She was in our office.
Okay.
Yep. And from day one, she was really good. She, I was probably a couple of days in the office, and she came and said, look, nobody helped me when I started. I want to help somebody.
Amazing.
Or want to be able to help somebody. And it was a benefit to both of us, because your reputation matters. So if you can't get back to people and you can't answer people and you can't fit showings in, it matters. So I was kind of able to help her with that part of things, and I got to gain a little bit of experience. I even tell clients now, like, never feel bad asking me to see something. Like, it still gets me out. I get to see the house, and so I just always did that with people, and I think it helped her and it helped me.
Yeah,
to,
absolutely. One of the biggest skills I think early on is just showing up and being there and being responsive and helping whoever you can help, because there is going to be some benefit that flows back to you.
Yeah.
So what about, you talked as well about having a lot of kind of referral business early on. You've got a good network of people. You live in a town that's about how big?
15,000. Yeah, I think we were 12 then. Yeah.
So not a huge metropolitan area to be pulling, a bunch of new business in. So you had a decent network in a small, smallish pond, let's say. Where did the network come from? Just past colleagues, friends?
I talked about real estate. I'm a talker.
Okay, yeah.
So wherever I go, it would always come up in conversation. Family, yes, they would send me what they could, past places that I worked. I had a big background with restaurant management and people that I'd met there. So that definitely helped.
Just wherever you're meeting people.
Yeah. So there's one I always tell that.
Cool.
I joke with Alex all the time that the dogs actually got me business before she did. I went to the pet store to buy dog food one day, and the cashier was there, and we were chit-chatting. Of course, somehow I managed to say real estate.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, you should, give me your card. I may list at some point. And every time that happens, I'm like, oh, that's a win. So I gave her my card. 6 months later, she called me, listed her house, and sold it.
Love it.
So I always joke with Alex and say,
Did you get the dog a nice bone or something like that at that?
They're pretty taken care of. There's 2 of them, and they're pretty spoiled and pretty taken care of. Yeah. So.
I tell you, I used to joke with people because a lot of mine, I played a lot of basketball when I was younger, and early in my career, a lot of my referrals were coming from guys I was playing basketball with, and there was kind of like a semi-professional league in Halifax, and I joked that I was still the highest paid basketball player in all of Halifax at that point, right? Because I was making money off of those referrals. So, but that's where it comes from. It's the people that you know who have common interests as you. So.
I was a gym goer, so I was always in the gyms, CrossFits. I was always into activities like that. So, and it's easy. I just started playing pickleball recently.
Cool.
And, day 2, somebody mentioned real estate. And they're like, oh, you sell real estate? And I'm like, yeah. And then a couple of ladies are like, what about this and what about that? It just comes, I say it comes easy. Yeah, it doesn't, but it does.
And what other things do you do? Is there anything else that you kind of proactively do to grow your business? I know that I'm sure a lot of it is just your database now, because that's plenty to handle. But over the years, what other things have you done to kind of grow your business?
This is a tough one for me.
Okay.
Because there's nothing. I really am referral based.
Great.
From people that I know. All of my clients. I'm a relationship builder, not a transaction agent. So I know their kids. yeah, I have clients that are, getting out of the hospital, like, hey, I'm just getting out of the hospital, like they're updating you. And so I'm very involved in people's lives.
People's lives.
Yeah.
True care. You care about them.
Yeah. And know what's going on, and you're invited to weddings and all this kind of stuff. And yeah. So that's definitely where my time has been spent, because that takes a lot of time too. And that's definitely how I've built my business.
That's great.
Yeah. But I'm happy with that. Like, I think that's a great business. It feels good every day. Yeah.
It's the best way to get an opportunity, is someone who says, I would like you to come list my home because I've heard great things about you, or you've had a great experience in the past. Yeah, amazing.
And rarely do I compete when I'm meeting somebody, because they're already coming to me with someone that, has worked with me and that sort of thing. So
great. Love that. Yeah. When you first started, more listings than buyers, more buyers than listings, about 50-50?
Yeah.
How did that kind of work?
In the beginning, I would say it was more buyers. Like everybody, it's usually more buyers, simply because those leads were coming through and I was working them. I don't feel like it took me that long to really start to pick up listings, though, because again, you helped someone buy their first home and then their parents are selling or something like that. Now, I would say 6 years ago, I actually looked at the numbers when I was coming to Atlantic. And at that point, I shocked myself, because I had never really looked at numbers before that. I just did what I did. And when I was coming in, I thought, I wonder if I'm more of a buyer or a seller's agent. And at the time, I was 50-50.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now I would say I'm 75-25 on the listing side. Yeah.
And how do you like that? Is that
Love
a lot of times people they prefer the buyer, but you like the listing side?
And it's funny that you say that. There are agents that will say to me, oh, I don't like doing the listings as much. I like the buyers. I don't mind running all over the place. And I'm like, I mean, buyers I like them, don't get me wrong, especially like first-time home buyers or my senior clients. Those are the ones that, like, I really like those ones. If I'm helping them, downsize, or like I've had a few this year that they need to sell their properties. They need to go to a rental. And I have connections with multi-unit landlords and things like that. I go through and get them rentals. I've taken seniors to see their rentals because they don't want to go by themselves, and they trust me to do that. So for me, listings are a project.
It's great.
Like, I get to kind of see them through, pictures, all that kind of stuff. It's like building something and then figuring out the market and who's going to want to buy it and who do I market to. That's kind of my thing. I love that.
Tell me a little bit more about that. So you've gone from maybe more buyers in the beginning all the way almost reversed.
Yeah.
What would you say has helped you get there? Is there anything that you particularly focus on, or how did you?
Confidence.
Okay.
Has definitely come over the years. And I remember years ago saying, oh, I don't want sellers. And it was before COVID. So things were harder back then. You had to do reports. And I remember sitting with 8 people and saying, look, we're going to be a minimum of 6 months doing this. And, setting those expectations early on that this is what's going to happen. And now I find I'm more confident. I get great information from my brokerage.
Good.
I sit in the meetings and I pay attention to what's going on. For me, being rural, we're about 6 months behind what Halifax does. So especially going into COVID, it helped me so much with pricing and even just marketing ideas and what everybody's doing down in the city. It's a little bit behind where I am. So it's figuring out, we're going to market to first-time home buyers, or going in and saying, you know what, don't spend money on this house. We're going to get you the best we can the way it is, and out you go.
Amazing.
Get another house and move on. So
That's great. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's great. And I know you have added over the last little while. We were talking before we got started that you're quite an avid photographer. So tell me a little bit about what you do when you get a listing to get it ready for market and then ultimately market.
I usually go through, I just met with someone yesterday, and it's early on. They probably won't sell for another 9 months. But they are just, trim, rip down, things like that. And they're like, what should we do? Where should we spend our money? And we start walking through the house, and I said, make notes of everything that you think, and we'll talk about it as we go through. And then when we're done, we'll pick out the things that matter the most, and we'll say, okay, these are our important things. Spend money here. And then if you have extra time and money, these are the things you're going to do. my market's a little bit different. Rural is a little more not as perfect, or polished when it comes to our listings. So sometimes it's about paint and freshening it up. And I sold my house a year ago in January last year, and I had a really tough time with it when it's your own. Loved my house, it was beautiful. But I was like, all eyes are going to be on me.
Yep.
And I do this, and who's going to check out my pictures and say, oh, she didn't do this or she didn't do that. So I bought all kinds of staging stuff, you know, flowers and blankets and pillows. And when I was done, I said, I'm not going to use this because my dogs are going to sleep on it, and it's just, you know, I'm going to waste it. So now when I go in somebody's house and they're like, oh, you know, I don't really have any great bedding, or I'm like, yeah, I do.
Amazing.
So we'll throw bedding on for our pictures, and you know, yellow and blues and things that pop in pictures.
Cool.
And,
So you're almost doing a little bit of staging and getting ready for the property to come to market yourself.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that is a difference in the rural areas, is that as an agent, I don't have the same resources. I don't have stagers available. You know, water testing, different things like that. You really have to be able to do all that stuff. And have a little eye for each thing that you're doing. So
that's great. Well, obviously it's working for you.
It is.
You've shifted to the listing side and been quite successful there. So that's great. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to talk about your team, but before we do that, I think it's time for us to start to play a little bit of
all right.
See how that goes, and we'll talk a little bit about how you've grown your team over the last couple of years as well. So good for you. Perfect. Love it.
Okay.
But I do want to talk to you about your team as well, because your business has grown to a point now where you've added people to it, which is amazing, right?
Yep.
So, you know, maybe just describe for me the size of the team, what everyone's role is on the team. Talk a little bit about how you've chosen these people. Just kind of give me everything team related that way. Let's start with how big the team is and how you've chosen the people to join it.
Sure.
I made a ball, so I get to go again.
Okay. You get to go?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and then you could go after I miss.
Okay.
We'll soon. So.
Yeah. So the team is currently 4 of us, myself, and I have 2 agents.
Yep.
And my daughter is our admin.
Oh, great.
Yep. She's part-time admin right now. She's finishing a teaching degree at Acadia. We'll be done in April, and then we'll be back to work full-time. I think she spent so much time watching me and being involved in it, you know, from 13 on. I didn't think she would want to do it.
Okay.
And there was a spell where she was like, no, I don't want to do this. Because I'm like, why don't you come work with me? It's great. And she's like, no, I don't like talking to people like you do. And then she started university, and she was like, I kind of like what Mom does. Yeah. I like that she's running around and every day is different and that sort of thing. So she wanted to stop university. And I said, no, you have got to finish your degree, and then you can come back to work. Yeah,
great.
Yeah. So she is very excited to get back to work. I am also very excited for her to get back to work.
That's great.
Because we're a partnership, and she can read my mind. And on a busy day when I throw out 3 words, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah.
What are the things that you had her doing for you and you know, will have doing again? Tell me a little bit about that.
What kind of started it was during COVID. I was booked with showings every day, and I would go show a property. Ooh, is that bad?
Oh, that is bad.
I think that's bad.
There you go. So you get this, and you're hitting the stripes. So you can put it wherever you want behind this line, is my understanding.
Behind the line,
Behind this sort of line right here.
Yeah.
And then hit it, whatever.
And hit a ball anywhere that I want?
Into a pot. Yes.
Okay. You're going to have to let me think while I do this, and then I'll and then I can chat. How's that sound? And I'm extremely competitive, so this is going to kill me that I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, very good.
Well, I'm happy with that.
Yes, I remember getting to play, I think when it was your second round of golf, if you ever, maybe first.
Yeah, I would call it my first. Yeah.
And by the time you were on the 17th hole, you were upset that you were not almost professional.
Yes.
Yeah,
I definitely think I should be good at everything I do immediately. So yeah.
Tell me about Alice. What does Alice do for you?
Yeah, so during COVID, I would be in my car all day running around doing showings because it was craziness. And I would show a property virtually, and then I would get in my car to drive to the next one. I would call her and say, hey, they're writing an offer.
Great.
Here's all their details. Here's the details of the offer. Fill it all in for me. And then before I went into the next showing or after the next showing, I'd go through, review it, set up my signatures, and away we would go with offers. So she did a lot of the back end paperwork.
Yeah.
So that was her, I think that's the best way to start, honestly. She had no issues understanding, you know, how to take care of people and the paperwork part and the compliance part and all of that. So definitely a good way to start.
Amazing.
Yeah, under somebody.
Did you have to do a lot of training with her, or just she's been around you so much that she
I think,
understood it?
yeah, she really picked up on like representation and things like that. I didn't have to really explain a lot of that. And if I did, it was very quick.
Yeah.
And she picked up on it right away.
Well, she's just a short kid too. So.
She is.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. Yeah, yeah. Because she's got a professor at Acadia that's super proud of her, told the whole class that, you know, she's got a real estate license.
Cool.
As a student, she also went out and did this, and, you know, pretty proud of her for doing that.
Absolutely.
She did that because I was like, if you could just let people in and go to the building inspections, or if I'm running behind, there's something you can do, it's much better if you have your license.
Awesome.
So yeah, she took her license and had no issues, passed her exam, and away
That's
she
great,
went.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for her, she's obviously someone you're just paying salary to when she's
Yeah.
kind of back full time.
Yep. Yeah.
And is there any kind of sales interest on that end for her? I know you added salespeople to the team,
Yeah.
so we'll talk about them in a minute. But
Yeah.
you know, is that an evolution for her?
I think it is.
think it is?
Yeah. She's 23. So, and I talk, so she doesn't. So that's something that she'll learn. Now she's got a couple of friends that they're starting at that first-time homebuyer age,
Yeah.
and they've said, "Oh, well, when you come back, can we buy our house with you?" So that the bug is there, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
So I think that's a great way to start things.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've now added people who are salespeople to the team as well. So tell me,
Yeah. Yeah.
what prompted that, and when you started that process.
Yep. So I started it in the fall last year. Okay, so this, all right.
Perfect. There you go.
Oh, yay!
There you go. And you're even safe.
Perfect.
Now you have to go again. That's the only problem.
I do have to go again.
Because you made that, so we
Okay.
have to hit another stripe one.
Okay.
This will be challenging. Yeah, so tell me about adding salespeople to the team. When did you start that?
Yep. So I had a tough year, last year mentally, just trying to keep up with everything. I started to feel like I was letting clients down.
Yep.
I couldn't take all the calls.
Yep.
I was just really struggling. And I like to do everything myself.
Yep.
And people don't do it the way I do it.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I have a very good friend who I met selling her home, and she has flipped some homes over the years, and we've joked about she's got smaller kids, so someday maybe she would want to do real estate. And last March I was going on a vacation.
Made the decision
Before I
to
was
come
leaving, I said,
back,
you know what?
so that
I had to talk
role
myself
was
into it.
gonna
I was like,
go
I'll
back
call
to
her when I get
her.
back, and we'll talk about it if it's of interest. And then I said, why are you
so I
pushing this
said,
off?
Sure,
You
let's get
need to
you
deal
your
with this.
license.
And
Right.
so I called her the day before I left on
And so she
vacation.
wrote her
And I
license
said, you know,
in-
would you be interested in doing part-time admin work for me, that sort of thing? And I said, I don't want you to answer me now. I'm going away for the week. I want you to really think about it. Like, you know, she goes, yes, I will marry you. and I was like, okay, perfect. And you know, it just kept going from there. So she was doing my admin work. Alex still does my social media and things like that behind the scene to kind of help, but she was day to day doing the paperwork, sending it in,
Yes.
that sort of thing. And then so that's Mallory. She then wrote her license. She said, what do you think about me getting my license? And I said, yeah, I think that's great.
Mhm.
At that time, Alex had made the decision to come back, so that role was going to go back to her. And so I said, sure, let's get you your license.
Right.
And so she wrote her license in June, I believe, got them in June or July. And she's doing amazing, actually. Yeah, she doubts herself a lot, but she is doing very, very well. She's got listings, she's doing buyers.
Great.
Yeah. And then there's Alana.
Yeah.
So Alana started with a different company, and this would be one of those times where she called and said, you know, can I take you out for lunch? And this was years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And I said, yeah, okay. I'm always about meeting different people. Just because you're at a different brokerage doesn't mean anything. And we had lunch, and it was great. We had a couple more lunches after that. And she said, you know, I'd love to learn from you. And I had sent her a few referrals when I was super busy, and I had nobody. I liked her. She seemed like she was a go-getter. And so I said, well, you know, really don't want to send business to a competitor.
Yep.
I don't mind doing the referrals, but I really can't be teaching you listings and things like that. Like, it's just not going to be good for my business. Anyways, so a year later, she made the decision to come over to Atlantic, which was before I started the team.
Yes.
So she was with us at Atlantic for, I think, a year.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I said I wanted to start a team, she wanted to be on it.
Great.
So she's also the other agent. And that has made such a difference for me. Like, yeah, this time last year, I was unhappy. I was tired. I didn't love my job as much as I love it again.
Great.
So, yep, definitely a good decision. Everybody doesn't do everything the way I would, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, shh, let them do it. Just let them do it. And yeah, they're doing well. Yeah.
There's a great, he's actually from Moncton, a guy named Dan Martell who wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time, and he's got a saying that is, 80% done by someone else is 100% freaking awesome.
Right,
So
right,
yeah. That's amazing.
And with the way I feel, like I would be working at my desk every single day till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And it just there was no life to this at all at that point. And I still love it.
Yeah.
So I just had to figure out how I balance all of that. And it's scary taking on people and saying you're going to help them and, send leads and that sort of thing, not knowing if it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So,
How do you work with the team now? Actually, I think it's your turn.
Oh, is it? Sorry.
No, it's your
Yeah.
turn. Do you guys meet often? Do you have a group chat going?
Yeah,
Do you have a
we do.
every day?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you guys interact with each other.
We do. We have a group text
Yeah.
that we text in.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if there's something that we're doing for a deal and we need each other for that, it's not in that group text necessarily.
Yep.
Oh dear. All right. There we go.
All right. You're good?
I'm gonna hit something, right? There we go. So yeah, we have the group text, and so any kind of meetings, we do breakfast meetings. We try to do them at least once a month.
Okay.
That we go out for breakfast and chit chat about what's going on, and yeah.
Great.
And everybody's very helpful. Like all of us as a group want to help each other.
Well, you're the team leader, and what do you provide to the team, let's say? You talked
Yeah.
about Alana, she wanted to learn from
Yeah.
you. I assume Mallory's the same, given
Yeah.
that she's new to the industry.
Yeah.
Is there an expectation that you're providing some business for them as well?
Yep.
Yep.
I have made a decision this year that I do not take on too many I'll say too many because I won't say no, but that I don't take on too many
Yep.
buyers.
Yep.
So if a lead comes in through an email and I haven't previously worked with them or have no relationship, then those go off. Yeah,
Cool.
those go off to the team.
That's great.
Yeah. If mom and dad bought their house with me and their kids are buying, those stay with me.
stay with you.
Those are my personal.
Can I ask you questions about the ones that go to the team?
Yeah.
When you're pushing it off to the team, have you had an interaction with the person first and then you're sending it, or
Yeah.
it's just Alana's the first person to call them? For
Yeah.
example?
Sometimes, and it all depends. If they call me and I chit chat with them and I feel them out through the conversation, and I'll say, look, I'm super busy
Yep.
and I can't get an hour away every single time. Let's say they're calling on Spring Hill or Amherst.
Okay.
We do that area.
Yeah.
We have a huge area that we do.
Yeah.
So I'll say, look, I really want to help you. We will take you on, but it's probably going to be another agent
Yeah.
that I'm going to have reach out and book those showings. You may end up with both of us.
Yep.
Like we might take turns because of our scheduling and stuff like that. And we do that. Like if somebody needs help,
Yeah.
we're there to help each other. Yeah.
So how did that feel initially? That seems to be one of the biggest objections that I hear from people who are thinking, I need to grow a team, but
Yeah.
I can't say to someone, go work with this team
Yeah.
member, because they're going to feel like a...
100% that was me.
Was it?
Yeah. Had so many conversations with Cass about that I'm like, how do I tell somebody, no, I don't have time for you?
Yeah.
And it's not about that. It's about having time to take care of them the right way.
I love that language.
Yeah, and like even, Mallory had a listing the other day and she said, I feel like you need to come to this.
Okay.
I feel like they want experience. They know I'm new. It was a referral from an agent in PEI
Yeah.
that she knows. And she said, but I feel like your experience and the way you can talk to people is different than me. And we were a great team. And we left there, you know, they handed us the keys and said, here you go. We don't even need to think about it.
That's a
and
good sign.
we're like, okay, great. And when we drove away, we talked about that. And there are strengths that I have, but now I don't have the time to do the showings and the setups where she's going to do that stuff.
Right.
So, you know, and I'm not, some of the listings are theirs. I put that time in for them. I'm not looking to be part of the list, like if that seller wants me to.
Yeah.
But if they just need to know this is who they have backing them,
No.
I want them to know that,
That's great.
you know, yeah, she's a new agent, but she has this behind her that, you know.
I imagine that helps her confidence as well,
It does.
knowing that she has,
Yeah.
you know, your level of experience and even Alana's level of experience kind of behind.
It does, yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
That's great.
and Alana, same thing. You know, I've gone and talked to clients with her and different things. I mean, she's very capable,
Yes.
but you know, sometimes it's nice to have two people
Yeah.
go. So, yeah.
So, a couple of questions for you as we
Sure.
kind of wrap up here.
Sure.
You can go back to 10 years ago and give yourself a piece of advice as you're getting started in the business. What's the piece of advice that you're giving to yourself that you feel would help you the most?
That's a tough one. I don't think I've made any mistakes that I would consider mistakes along the way.
Yep.
So that's a tough question for me. I think everything that I've done, I learned from.
Yep.
So maybe that's it, is always be learning what you're doing. And that didn't work. It's not a mistake, it's learning. The only thing that I can say is that I should have acknowledged I needed help
Okay.
long before I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a pretty common thing.
Is it?
that
Yeah.
people are working themselves
Yeah.
beyond just like the top of their capacity. They're 30% above what they should be able to.
Yeah.
Because it often ends up in.
Yeah.
You use the word unhappiness.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great.
Yeah.
You know, advice for others as well to say, you know,
Yeah.
when you're hitting that threshold that it's time. It's just it is hard to release the control.
It was tough. I really didn't, because you live in a fear world a little bit of like, especially going through COVID, you know, a light switch went off. One day, no one called me. No one talked to me. They didn't want to talk about real estate. They didn't want anybody in their house. And then all of a sudden the light switch went on. So I remember that. So it's hard not knowing if things will shut down tomorrow, if something doesn't come through and shut you down tomorrow. So that was, yeah.
I don't think it's shutting down for you to.
No.
So yeah.
And I just kept saying, just keep working, it'll slow down. Just keep working, it'll slow down. So I kept doing that to myself, and I wish I had known. I wish I had listened to the people around me.
Yeah.
Cass, you, Tracy, Mark, you know, like,
Yeah.
you're at max capacity.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, so then the next question is kind of related to that, but
Yeah.
it's looking forward. You know, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Yeah.
The team continue to grow. Is there?
Yeah.
Are you happy with the group that's there
Yeah.
now?
Super happy with the group that we have. I did say this from the very beginning. My team is not going to be, I want 50 agents.
Right.
My team is going to be, we are all going to work like this together. And if it doesn't, if there's not a fit, then you can't be on the team.
Yep. Yep.
Like it's just the way it is.
Got
So if we have a team of, you know, 5, great. If we have a team of 4, great.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing that to help me, number one. And then I really do like helping people. So like watching agents learn, like Mallory, watching her learn stuff and being excited. And she took me to another listing of hers and she's like, you know, she's great.
Yeah.
Like, that's nice to hear. And I want to help people do better at this. It is a good career.
Yeah.
There's some tough sides for sure, but it's a good career. So it makes me feel good to do that part of it.